So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders, their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us James Collins, who's director at JCS Project Services. So, firstly, James, thanks for coming on board and spending some time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, JCS, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me. James Collins, Director of JCS Project Services, based near Selby, and I work as an MEP consultant and provide project support services for the construction industry. My background is as a mechanical engineer, and I've worked my way up in the construction industry for mechanical and electrical companies. And I now offer support services to various clients from other MEP contractors if they need some project management or they need some programs or even O&M manuals producing. I've got good background in all of those. And I also offer consultancy and building services management for clients of M&E contractors, such as
Right.
big builders, main contractors, and some end users as well. So it's quite a wide client base, and I offer, as a business, we offer quite a broad range of services. As I say, it can be anything from programs right through to technical design reviews, tender analysis,
Right.
um, some commercial management for certain clients, although that's not a big thing that I offer people. And I've been doing it for just over a year now, last October, and so far it's going really well. I'm working with some brilliant people out there.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I look forward to learning a bit more. But if we start with sort of looking backwards for a second, James, could you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into business, and why this particular one for you?
So I went to university and did mechanical engineering. My father was an electrical engineer in the construction industry, and he warned me never to be an electrical engineer in the construction industry. So I did mechanical engineering instead.
Brilliant.
So I went to university, and when I came out of university, I did pure mechanical engineering. I didn't really know what I wanted to get into, and I applied for a number of different graduate schemes. This was 20 odd years ago now. And one that came up was for a big M&E company based in Yorkshire. And I joined them, and I've worked my way through the industry ever since. I started off as an engineer and then worked my way up, and until just before I started this business, I was the regional manager of a new branch of an M&E company based in Scotland. So we opened up a branch here in Leeds. I
Yep.
set up the office, ran the office for them, delivered the projects for them with a team of people. And after a few years of doing that, I decided that I wanted to work for myself. I didn't want to. There were a number of different reasons why I set up in business for myself. There isn't one particular main reason. It was lots of little reasons, and I thought the time was right. And it took me a long time. I've been thinking and talking about it to the family for maybe 2 or 3 years.
Great.
And it was last June. I was talking to a prospective accountant, and she said that the good thing was is she was only 2 or 3 years into her business as well, and so she was able to relate to what I was thinking. But I just took the leap. I set the business up and handed my notice in, and haven't really looked back since. And I'm very, very lucky that my first client was the company that I handed my notice into, wanted me to stay on and finish a project for them. So my biggest fear when I was handing my notice in was, where's my first client
Yeah.
going to come from? How am I going to pay the bills? Because it was very hard for me to get the word out there without letting people know
Yes.
officially, if you know what I mean. So, but I'm very lucky, and I owe them a lot actually. Those first few months, they were brilliant. So really thankful for that.
Wonderful, wonderful, great. What a great story. So when you were growing up, is this what you always foresaw for yourself, or did you have other plans as
Um,
a young boy?
no, believe it or not, I always wanted to be a policeman when I was a kid, and all right through. I still I still wanted to be a policeman before I went to university, but I've got problems with my hearing in my right ear, and I was told it probably never going to happen. So
Right.
um, it was actually when I was at school, I did a 2 week work placement scheme at a friend's dad's company in York at the time, a big engineering company, and first time I'd had any input in engineering
Brilliant.
sort of directly, and that changed my mind. I thought actually I could quite fancy this. So ever since then, engineering was on the table, and I see it in my son now. He's only 2, and he's pulling things apart, and he's
Brilliant.
understanding how everything works. And I think it's just that mindset. I think it's
Yeah.
something that naturally I've got that inquisitive mindset and that
Yeah.
that analyzing mindset. So yeah, it's running my own business is something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
I do sometimes get asked if I should have done if I should have made the move sooner.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't think I should have done.
Yeah.
I think my career path and the jobs that I did and the people I worked with, the projects I worked on, I think they all led me to the right point for me to do this. And I think if I'd taken the jump earlier, I don't think I would have the experience, the clarity in what I want to do, the clients, the contacts, the knowledge. So a lot of people do ask me that when I tell them I've been doing it for a year, and especially in this industry, it's a very, very tough industry. Um, but I wouldn't change anything from where
Brilliant.
I've come from. Definitely not.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So looking back over these last 12 months, what are some of the biggest issues and challenges that you've had to overcome?
Not the ones I thought I would have. I'm sure that's the same for everybody. Um, When I, as I touched on earlier, when I first made the move, my biggest concern was where am I going to get
Yeah.
work from?
Yeah.
How am I going to fill my days? How am I going to pay the bills? And my biggest issue is how I haven't got enough time to do the work that's coming through the door. It is me to do the main bulk of the work, and that is the biggest challenge because with a young family as well, I wanted to make sure that I was spending the right amount of getting the work-life balance right.
Great.
Still don't think I don't think I've done that. It does become all consuming, and you're working late at night and over the weekend for clients, and there's deadlines, and a lot of the work that I do can't be done out of hours because it involves talking to other people
Right.
are working 9 to 5,
Yep.
and they are working a normal standard week. So a lot of my work and some of my clients require me to be on site with them during the day. So it's not like I can juggle everything around my own time. There are certain times I have to do the work when it's required during the
Yes.
daytime. Um, so that's the biggest challenge has been how do I fit everything in and saying no to people. Again, right back at the start before Christmas last year, um, whenever anybody asked if I had any capacity or ability to do something, the answer was yes. It was just absolutely yes, I can do it.
Yep.
Clients have kept me on, the projects have continued on, and now it's it's great. I am not complaining at all, at all. But it is the hardest challenge is just trying to find time to fit everything in
Yeah.
and juggling it all.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And so looking at business as a sort of a thing, if you like, you said you the challenges were different. What have you learned about running and growing a business so far? What are the key things that you've learned about business?
Um, excuse me. I for somebody who's never dealt with the business side of things before, all the accountancy practices, the tax, understanding those sides of things, from my perspective,
Yeah.
that was quite difficult for me. Luckily, I had somebody who was able to guide me through it quite well. From a from an actual business point of view, in terms of the work that I'm offering people, that's not really a problem
Yeah.
because it's what I've done for 20 years. That's not an issue. Um, I, Submitting my first few invoices and getting paid for them was a bit daunting.
Yep. Yeah.
I've been very lucky that I'd say 99% of the invoices I've submitted have been paid on time. I've not had to chase a lot of people down for them, which is always a tough one in our industry in construction.
Yes.
But luckily I've never had to do any of that, which is good. But yeah, it was a bit strange to start with, seeing that money come through and yeah, I mean it's not my money, it's the business's money, but yeah, it was just a strange one that.
It's interesting, isn't it? It is, as you say, it's different. And I think, going back to your point about doing the business isn't the issue. It's the business bit. And we often find is businesses, businesses are founded by people that good at doing what the business does, good at doing the business. The challenge is they're not trained to run and grow a business. So there's a lot of learning to be done around doing the work is not the issue. This is about the marketing, the selling, as you say, the financial side, collection of invoices, all these sorts of things need to be learned. So great, wonderful. And Jamie, I think you're aware we're a business coaching organisation. I'm keen to know who the best coaches that you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, life in general. Who's had the biggest sort of influence on you?
Um, I've got one or two that spring to mind. The first and foremost, and I think a lot of people would say is my father.
Yep.
He saw out his career having sort of made the step into working freelance towards the end of his career. He only did 2 or 3 years of it before he retired.
Yep.
He's actually come back into it, and it was actually me, at a previous company when I was working for somebody. He'd been talking about going up by himself for a number of years. Again, we're quite a risk averse family, and it was always taking that leap was seen as quite a risky move. But I had a project that required his skills, and I said, look, well, I can offer you 3 days a week, whatever it might have been, as a basis,
Yep.
that I'd like you to go and off and set your own task on the other 2 days. So he took the leap based on that, and he saw his career out, having done that. So it was great to be able to give back to him. But
Brilliant.
he's somebody that I've always looked up to, always listened to his advice from, and just he was one of the family members who was saying you've got nothing to lose by setting this business up. If it doesn't work out, your skills are still being demand. You can go and get a
Brilliant.
job back in the construction industry. So that was very much a positive, role model from that side. And then within the industry itself, I think I was very lucky on when I first joined the big M&E company, straight from university, that I was taken under the wing of a project manager there who I still keep in touch with now, even though I've not worked with him for 15 years ish. I'd like to think he taught me everything I know. His work ethic is outstanding. His management skills and his technical knowledge, and I owe a lot to him actually. And I was with him for about, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years or something, and I
Right.
decided I wanted to try and spread my wings a little bit. So it was a big wrench to leave, but I left him and left the company, and I've not looked back. But he gave me a firm grounding,
Brilliant.
and obviously the wife, she's brilliant at encouraging me to do what I'm doing. Yeah, she's not bothered by the fact that I come home and she don't see me. Well, she's bothered. I'm sure she's bothered, but I come and lock myself in the way in the office for a little bit. But yeah, I think those are the key ones that spring to mind. I'm sure that there's been quite a few across the years with different inputs and different influences over the time. So yeah, those are the main ones.
Brilliant. And have you picked up any favourite quotes or sayings that you catch yourself using?
There's one that I don't know where it came from, but it's one that I've used for quite a number of years now. And in fact, I used it with that role model who I mentioned back when I was just starting after university called, and it's um, if things don't change, then things don't change, and it's
Nice.
if nothing changes, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So it's about
Nice.
don't mix it up. You don't do something different. It's the old saying that is it Einstein that's attributed to, whereas the definition of an insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. It's just a little bit shorter version than that. But that's
Love
something
it.
I've always thought. Well, if I don't do something different, then I'm going to get the same result
Yeah.
as everybody else or what I did last time. So that's one of my favourite ones. That I'm sure there's lots more as well. Some that probably can't be repeated.
No, I love that. I love that. It's interesting because there's the sort of similar phrase. Um, if you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always got, which is very similar. And a friend of mine sort of upgraded that quite a few years ago, and I really like it and he basically said, if we always do what we've always done, we're history
Okay.
because everything else is moving on, and even the same result isn't necessarily going to happen because we run the risk of lagging behind.
Yeah,
Use the example of retailers like Woolworths or Blockbusters,
yeah,
MFA, all these companies. They never really changed what they did, and therefore the marketplace changed and the customers changed. So
yeah,
fascinating. No, I love that. So if things don't change, things don't change. Love
yeah.
it.
If nothing changes, then nothing changes.
Nothing changes. Nothing changes. Right. I'm storing that one. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And I'm also keen to know what you've learned about yourself so far on your journey, James.
Um, well, I think as I said at the start, I'm not one to blow my own trumpet. I'm not one to shout from the rooftop. I know I'm quietly confident in my skills. But I think over the last year, I've learned that actually it sounds really. I'm trying to word it in such a way that doesn't belittle other people in that essence in the construction industry. But I'd like to think that my skills are valued
Yep.
out there. And that there are some better people in the industry, and there's some that need a lot of development. And I'd like to think I'm on the side of being um, of being one of the better ones, shall we say? That sounds really derogatory, but I don't mean it that way.
No.
It's just there's a lot of people, and there's a lot of everybody knows a lot of cowboys within construction, and I don't like to put myself in that category.
No, I think that I've always believed there's a difference. There's a significance between confidence and arrogance. And confidence is I'm really good at what I do.
Yes.
Arrogance is I'm better than you.
Yes, that's I
Ish,
think
if
the
that makes sense.
confidence that I
Yeah,
think I've learned that yeah I have got skills that people want. The fact that I'm busy all the time absolutely suggests that
absolutely.
that my skills are in demand, which is great, and more so than I ever expected.
Yep.
Um,
Brilliant. Well,
I, which is brilliant, and that's just me. But from a business perspective, I've always wanted to. I always said that I would do this by myself for 2 maybe 3 years, and then see where I'm at. And if things are going well, then maybe look at right, what's the next step? How do we expand it? Because I didn't want to rush into trying to grow a business too quickly. But the next step would be right, who I would need to bring somebody in to do some of the work.
yep.
Would it be looking at partnering with other people, companies in my situation? And I've started to reach out to a couple of people I know who can take on some of the work. But
Great.
the hard bit for me is recognizing that's possible, because at the moment I feel that clients are employing me as an individual rather than the business as a business as a service. And that's the bit that I'm still unsure in my mind as to how I get out of one mindset into another mindset.
Yes, we find that's quite common, and I think that the thing to one of the things to consider is that our clients will only think it's about us if we let them think that.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So we
Good.
typically, I find people believe that what more. Obviously, you're the only guy in your business. You know, you as the only provider of the services right now, people want your services. But if
Yeah.
you explain and educate them, look, the best way that to deliver what you need is I'm going to work with this guy because he's really good in this particular area, then most clients, in my experience, are focused on solving their problem. If we can solve their problem, however we do it, they're in.
Yeah. I think that's it. And then I need to that end, I would then need to find people that I could trust and have that capability and bring them into the business. And I'm still in my mind, I still don't know if that's the route I want to go down
Yeah,
right now. And that's something that I always said I wasn't going to rush into making any kind of decision such as that. And that's where I'm at. I'm a year and a bit in. Um, I don't need to worry about where the next job's coming from at the moment, which is great. It would help if I had other people that I could pass work to,
yeah,
um, because the work is there. It's just I'm not going to rush into that just because I could.
cool. I think the most important thing is I often say to people in business is the challenge of running your own business, James, is ultimately the buck stops with us un,
Yeah,
until we find someone that can stop for. If we grow a business and recruit a general manager, manager director that you can stop for them, that's some way in the future. So the challenge is the buck stop is with us. The great thing about having our own business is we get to choose exactly how it is.
yes,
The speed, the structure, who does the work, that's our choice. So whatever, works for us, is fine. It's like doesn't have to be like anybody else.
oh, that's good. Yeah, okay,
Does that make sense?
it
And
does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
do what's right for you, because I think the key thing is often is, you know, it is a straightforward thing to grow businesses. We were talking about this before we started. The structures are there, the processes are there. But if in doing so it causes us personal, fear, anxiety, all the things that can come with that, then let's not, let's take it at the speed that minimizes that. That makes sense. There's always a concern. I mean, yeah, as you already highlighted, your first concern was where's the business going to come from right at the start.
yeah,
But what I believe very strongly is that we shouldn't go at a speed that causes excess challenge. Um, do what's right for you and enjoy
yeah.
it. Enjoy it. The most important thing, in my perspective, is enjoy the process, the journey, not just the destination, as a lot of people say.
Yeah, and I have been told a couple of times that I'm definitely less stressed since doing this than
Great.
when I was previously, despite the stresses being very different and
Yeah,
in some instances bigger than before because I feel in control of it.
brilliant.
Whereas before I had paymaster and directors and business owners to report to, and there's only so much control that I had at that point. Yeah, I think that certainly helps that I'm able to make those decisions myself. Yeah.
Wonderful. And think about that. What would you say to anyone that was thinking of going to business right now?
Well, it's a hard one because you don't want to come across as pressuring them into doing something that they're not necessarily ready for, but at the same time, again, in my experience and what I was intending to do was if it didn't work out, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yep.
I'd go back and do what I did before, maybe for a different company, maybe a different part of the industry, but it isn't the end of the world if it doesn't work out. And
Yep.
if it does work out, then it might be the best thing that you've never done. Um, so it's I think I would find somebody to speak to, such as yourself, or like I had with regards to the business administration and the tax side of things. I had a very good accountant, and she
Brilliant.
she taught me through what I needed to understand because that just alien to me. I'd never
Yep.
had to deal with any of that before.
Absolutely.
Um, I still don't really understand half of what she tells me anyway, but I just nod and agree.
Just know the things you need. That's all.
Yeah, but I think obviously if you're interested in going to work for yourself or set up a business, I think just obviously make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row before you do. But there should be nothing holding you back. The fear of failure shouldn't hold you back from doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Brilliant. I think that's the key one. Yeah, I like we've done that because it's not that common. I see with people is let's all for like what's the worst that can happen? Because once we understand the worst that can happen and we're cool with it, then we can enjoy it, can't we?
Yeah,
If we're always fearing the worst,
yeah,
that can be a very challenging place to be. And I'd agree with you that if all we're going to do is be fearful, then it's probably not the right thing to do.
yeah.
Um, and if you started again, just looking back over the 12 months, if you start again, is there anything significant you do differently, do you think, James?
The only thing I would do is I would probably say no a bit sooner to people.
Brilliant.
I think that fear of where the work's coming from led me to say yes to
Yep.
certain projects that I probably shouldn't have done in hindsight. And it's not because they were bad projects or anything. It was just it wasn't the right time. It wasn't it was yeah, it wasn't the right time, or I didn't have the capacity to give it what it should have done. I got through it, but I was working, we talked about, you work all the hours that are sent to you. So yeah, I think I would say no a bit sooner. And also from where I'm sat at the moment, I also think I need to just narrow the band a little bit in terms of my offering. I think it's a bit too broad for people.
Yeah.
I mentioned I'm doing some commercial management for one client, and that's not whilst I can do it and I have done it in the past, it's not really my skill set that I think I should, that I want to be focusing on.
Yep.
So I think I would narrow it down a little bit soon and really get clear in my mind earlier. Right, that is what the business is going to do as a model at this point, rather than set it up, see where it goes for a year, and then refocus at that point, which is what
Brilliant.
I've done.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And finally, what would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could
Huh.
go back in time and do that, James?
Um, Bit of a strange specific one, I suppose, but I would tell him to listen more in the thermodynamics module at university, because despite doing a 4-year engineering degree, that's about the only one that really has direct influence and benefit in what I do, and it was the
Brilliant.
only one that I just couldn't be bothered with. So that's what I would tell them. You need to listen to that. But I think as you grow over the years, it's everything changes, doesn't it? I'm more interested in learning about new things now, and taking it all in, and gathering as much experience as I possibly can. Whereas at 18, that's not really what life's about at 18, is
No.
it? So, um, yeah, I'd just tell him he needs to listen more and not spend too much time in the pub at university.
I'm not sure about
No,
that one.
no. Thinking about it, as I say, I don't really have any regrets even back then, because everything I've done has led me to this point.
Yeah.
And if I changed anything back then, I can't guarantee that I'd be here doing what I'm doing now. So
No.
no regrets.
Totally get that, and I completely agree. I completely agree. Well, James, it's been really delightful talking to you today. There's some real nuggets in what we've discussed. And for anyone that's watching would like to get in touch with you or the business, what would be the best way to do that?
Via email, or go to the website. My email is james.collins@jcsprojectservices.co.uk.
Brilliant. Well, look, be great to swing by another 6 to 12 months, just see what the next stage is going for you. But for now, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.